Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Eric. Uh, as I said, when I first started this channel, I wanted it to be something that you could relate to. Whether you're the caregiver or the one with the mental illness or both. I'm not a trained professional. I'm just a ordinary guy that has done so much better in the last 20 years in controlling my own mental health program and developed ways to make it so that it's not a unhealthy relationship when it comes to the caregiver side. You know, and in saying that, today we're going to talk about codependency. What is codependency? Codependency, the definition, I guess, would be a dysfunctional relationship between two people. Layman's terms, it's when you get into this rut, I call it, of where everything you're doing is for the other person. And you do that at your own expense. You start giving up everything you enjoy doing because your focus now is on the other person. It's easy to become in that situation. For me, it was gradual over time, so I didn't really notice it a lot. But then I started missing birthday parties, doing dinners for Christmas and Thanksgiving, always making excuses, and feeling guilty if I did do something for myself. Does that sound like you? Well, here are some steps to kind of break the chain. It's not going to be instant. First thing you need to do is start thinking about what's best for you. The old saying is you can't take care of anybody else unless you've taken care of yourself first. You have to be on your game and doing well to help somebody else out. Does that make sense? So, steps that you can do is start small because you're going to have this part of the dependency type thing, and this is the caregiver side, is that you're going to start having these fears of breaking the thing, of breaking the chain. Um, and I'll tell you, that the person that's on the other end, if it's been going on for some time, it's feeling a need for them. So they're going to fight you tooth and nail when you start pulling back and saying enough's enough. And when it comes to the kids' birthdays, that's where you say, yes, I'm going to go. If you don't feel up to it, I understand, but I got to go. This is my granddaughter. This is my son. This is my daughter. This, whatever it may be. They become so accustomed to you waiting hand and foot on them that they're going to resent you when you start pulling back because that means they actually have to start doing something for themselves. That means they also have to start being responsible for their own program instead of you being totally responsible for it. It may be they need to start setting up their medicines instead of you doing it for them, taking care of their meds instead of you doing it for them. How about making you dinner instead of you doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the housework, all the shopping? See where I'm going? And you'll know it right off the bat if I start saying things and it starts ringing bells of what codependency is. So as I said, you got to start small. So how do you start small? All right, you start looking back. Let's just try some journaling, writing down what you used to enjoy doing prior to the needs of the other person taking over. An example, I always loved fishing, and my boat never got in the water for over 3 years, because if I mentioned about going fishing, she would make me feel guilty about leaving her there and having fun, and started relating to any time that I felt like I was having fun or enjoying myself, I would feel guilty. And guilt is a hard thing to overcome. That's why I say it's got to be gradual. You can't just, all right, today we're going to cut the ties. The first thing I would recommend, if you aren't already in counseling, is to see if you can't get a therapist to help you work through this. They have steps that will help you. You're no less of a person by being seen by a therapist. It's all totally confidential, and they see this every day. It is very common of codependency between a caregiver and the person that the caregiver is caring for. Very common, unhealthy. Uh, so I had to, years ago, because I was consuming so much of my time, that I finally had come to the end of my rope. It's just like, how much more can you expect from me? And I used to complain to a number of people that were close to me about it, but I continued doing it. Why would you? People got tired of listening to me complain if I wasn't willing to change the situation. And I tell them it's not that easy. And they say, yes, it is. Because they had healthy relationships where I had an unhealthy relationship. They said, why don't you just stop making her lunch? There's no reason why she can't get up and make herself lunch. And I thought about it. You know what? There isn't any reason stopping her from getting up and making lunch. And I had another friend say, when was the last time she made dinner for you two? Ooh, been a long, long time. And it was a gradual thing where she'd say, oh, can I help you? And I said, no, I got it. To the point of where it was expected that I needed to have a meal on time for her, or there were troubles. So start with the small stuff. Start with things that they need to start accepting back, and how you can pull back. And that is, they need to understand that the relationship, the way it is unhealthy. And if they're in therapy, good chances are the therapist already knows it's an unhealthy relationship, and is trying to figure out how to break it. But it takes two to break it. You know, one of the first things that I finally had to give up was the feeling that if anything went wrong with her, it was my fault. If she went into the hospital, it's something I did wrong. I kept second guessing myself. And the reason she went into the hospital is because either the medications weren't working, she wasn't doing her program the way it was supposed to be being done, and she needed to start accepting responsibility for her program. And that's part of it, is the other person has to start owning some of this in their own lives. If they go inpatient, then that's all about them. It has nothing to do with you. It's something is not working, or they've done something that's caused an action to create a reaction. And if they go inpatient, instead of being at home crying, feeling fear, feeling failure, take some time for yourself. Rejuvenate. Go out and do some things that you enjoy. I know you're going to feel guilty at first. I told you it's going to be gradual. Um, so you got to start taking your life back. So we said journaling. Write down the things you used to do. Start small. Start setting boundaries. Start asking and expecting so much of the other person instead of you doing everything for them. You're not helping them, and you're definitely not helping yourself. Did you hear that? You're not helping them, and you're not helping yourself by doing so. They also need to take their life back. I mean, it's easy to put all the blame on someone else than it is to accept it for yourself. It's easy to blame somebody else than accept the responsibility that it's something that you had done. You're never going to get better as a patient, as the person with the illness, if you don't own it. If you don't own it and start running your own program, it's not going to work. You are doomed for failure. How can you fix something that you feel you have no control over? Who is supposed to have control over it? Who knows better of what's going on in your head than you do? So, if I'm your caregiver, how is that helping you if I do everything for you? Is it really helping you? Or is it creating a situation where less and less and less things that you're supposed to be responsible for, you have no control over your life because now you've farmed it out to everybody else, and you seem to be very comfortable by it because that way, if something goes wrong, you can blame everybody else for it instead of yourself. I know it's a bit harsh, but it's reality. Codependency is a dysfunctional relationship between two people, very unhealthy. Common, yes, but unhealthy. And it's up to you to break that chain, to get back on the road to wellness. So if you're a caregiver, take some time for yourself. You deserve it. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty for having a good time. And if you're on the other end, the receiving end, step up. Take it back. Take some of the responsibilities back. Take your program back. The only way you are going to get better is if you own what's going on within you. And I would recommend that you talk to your therapist about what I'm saying right now and your psychiatrist. Tell them that I'm telling you that you have to own what's going on with you, that only you can fix it. And they're going to tell you absolutely, only you can fix this. Nobody else can. If you're not vocal and if you're not using therapy and you're not talking to the psychiatrist, explaining on what's going on, then what's the point? Make that relationship between you and your caregiver a healthy one. Let that person go enjoy themselves and not feel guilty. If you feel you can't do it, don't hold the other person back from partaking in those activities, whether it be birthdays or get togethers. It's not that person's fault that you can't go. And you need to have it where you can be by yourself for extended periods of time and start doing things for yourself. Get up in the morning, brush your teeth, get a routine. Get up in the morning, get a shower, get dressed. There's your first routine. Work on that for a week. Next, get up in the morning, brush your teeth, get showered, get dressed, clean one room in the house, or do dishes. Let's start with the kitchen so that you're developing a good ritual of taking things back. You don't try to take it all at once because you're doomed to fail. One step at a time. You know, before you know it, you're going to be getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, taking your meds, getting dressed, picking up the house. And once you've got all that down, where you're making meals, taking your meds correctly, you're going to find that that's going to help you on the next step, which is going shopping. I can remember one point in my life where there were 2 years that I became a recluse. I never left the house except for doctor's appointments. And if I went shopping, I would have a panic attack in the grocery store when I first tried doing this. Literally had the cart half full and have a panic attack. Oh, did I have enough money? People were staring at me. I felt uncomfortable. And I would work myself up into such a frenzy that I would leave the cart in an aisle and walk out of the store with nothing. Yes. But as I kept pushing myself, then all of a sudden, grocery shopping wasn't that bad. But I had to keep little bit by little bit instead of trying to take it all at once. And that's what you, the caregiver, and what you, the person with the illness, have to start with and work on little by little, baby steps. I know I've been harsh a little bit, but sometimes that's what it takes to drive a point home. If you feel the content that I'm providing here is helpful to you, even a little bit, and the way I look at things is the only thing I can do is I can give you advice. I'm not going to tell you how to do something. I'm going to give you advice on things that may work. And then you pick and choose out of this video what might work for you. But if you think that what I'm doing here is beneficial, could you please like and subscribe? That will basically get more people watching the channel. And I feel the more people that we have watching the channel and becoming a group where you're commenting, and talking about things that work for you. We're here to help each other. That's what it's all about. I'm here to help you as much as I can. And in turn, you may help me in a comment that says, hey, try this or try that. Or even just simply putting, I can relate to that. So until the next video, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Talk to you later.